this is Nikki. Welcome to Genoa City Happenings. I am your source for everything that is happening in Genoa City because I will hear it first. I have people in my ear. I have my sources. I have my ways of finding out things. Like, I found out that Chelsea ran away to Paris. Yes, of all places to run away to, she runs away to Paris. Only rich people run away to Paris. So Chelsea's now in Paris, and of course, Gabe was able to find her in Paris because not only did she go to where they had planned on moving to, which is Paris, she happened to be staying in the same hotel that's on the same street of a house they were going to live in. So Chelsea didn't run far. So obviously she wasn't really running away from Adam. She was running away from Adam. So if she really wanted to get away from Adam, she would not have gone to Paris, first of all, and she definitely would not have been in the same hotel that's on the same street of a house that they had planned on living in. So because Adam didn't have to think that hard and that far, he was able to track her down, and he did give her a call and try to convince her that they should be together. She didn't want to hear it. She hung up on him. I was in the lobby when this happened. She hung up on him. He called back, tried again. She hung up on him again, and she decided she wanted to leave. So she's packing her stuff, and she gets a knock on the door. I was upstairs, and I saw this. And she gets a knock on the door, and she opens it up, and there's Adam. Dun, 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 dun. So Adam's still trying to convince her that they should be together, and then he finally says to her, I'm inside the room now, and he says to her that they should just leave Genoa City behind and just move to Paris. That was their plan from the beginning. Why don't they just go ahead and do it now? Chelsea's not seeing it as a very bright move because she doesn't trust Adam. And she knows that Adam's big thing is that he has this thing that he wants to get revenge on Victor, and that is more important to him than Connor and her. He says that as long as he's away from Genoa City and with them, and they just start this whole new life in Paris, and he can forget about Victor, and he can forget about all that garbage that's going on in Genoa City. Well, I know for sure that they're not going to stay in Paris because they need to come back to Genoa City so people can find out that Gabe is Adam, and people only leave town if they're leaving the show, and I know both the ladies playing Chelsea and Justin Hurley, who's playing Gabe/Adam, are not leaving the show, so they won't be staying in Paris. Noah went and got food, and he actually ran into Summer, and Summer planted a seed in his head, and so when he goes back into the room, oh, by the way, I came back and I knew Chelsea and Gabe weren't going to stay in Paris, so I decided to leave. And I went back to Genoa City, and because I was very jet lagged, I decided to stop at the athletic club, and I rented me a room. And it just so happened to be next to Marisa's room, and the walls are very thin there. Don't be fooled. The walls are very thin. So I heard everything that was going on in there, and I overheard Noah telling Marisa that he wants to get to know her better. And so he starts asking her questions like, what did she do before she came to Genoa City and all this other stuff. And then she starts getting suspicious. And she says she feels like she's being interrogated. And those are her words. She feels like she's being interrogated. And so Noah tries to explain to her that, people have been hurt, people concerned. And he basically, in his own way, he apologized to her for making her feel that way. She says she understands that people have been hurt. So Noah says, so while they're talking, Noah's phone rings, and he, I think he had a text. He got a text, and he said he had to leave. He said he had to go meet his father at the club before it closes. So I believe that was, he said a club. So the only club that actually closes would be the Underground. And it closes a lot, apparently. Closes a lot, or it shuts down for private parties for 2 people. And yeah, so that's a whole nother story. But he leaves, and as he leaves, I'm leaving my room as well. That's how I see this. And he runs into a cop who asks if he's Noah Newman. He says yes, and the cop says, you need to come down to the police station. Well, of course, me being who I am, I had to find out what's going on. So I followed the police car with Noah in it down to the police station, and I was able to just stand there and listen to what was going on. And Detective Harding shows Noah that composite that Marisa had given them. And he tells Noah, first he tells Noah that Marco was found, and he shows him the picture. And he says the problem is that that's not Marco. And then he shows the picture of the captain of the ship. So he tells Noah that that's actually the captain of the ship that Marisa was on 2 months ago. So now Noah's brain is really turning. And now Detective Harding wants Noah to try to get information out of Marisa. Well, Noah does try to get information out of Marisa, and of course Marisa's feelings are hurt, and she storms out of her own room. I think if you're upset, you should tell the person that's upsetting you to leave. You don't leave your room, you tell that person to leave, but Marisa decided she wanted to leave her room. So there she goes. Phyllis and Jack, as you remember on yesterday's episode, Phyllis wanted Jack to pretend that he was Marco, and Jack didn't want to do that because he feels he can trust Marisa, and Marisa really helped him out. Well, Phyllis was starting to get a little suspicious and thinking that maybe Jack had feelings for her, but he assured her on today's episode that he didn't have feelings for her. So she wants him to act like he's Marco. The problem with that is that although Peter Berkman did an excellent job playing both Jack and Marco, played the way Jack is, and then playing a very dark character, I don't know if he'll be able to pull it off as Jack pretending to be Marco. And so they decided, because Jack said he's never met Marco, he doesn't know how he is, but Phyllis says, well, she's met him and she knows how he is. So I guess, those months that she was with him, she was able to figure out who he is and kind of his demeanor and how he should act. So she prepped Jack, and she put Jack in some dark clothes, and off to that athletic club they went. Oh yeah, I left the police station, I went back to the athletic club, and that's when I saw Phyllis and Jack. And he was dressed in dark clothes. He went up to Marisa's room, and of course, Phyllis was going to go wait for him at the bar, and guess who's sitting at the bar? Victor. How convenient. So this is the second time Phyllis has run into Victor. Well, Jack is up in Marisa's room, and he's trying to convince her he's Marco, but he just can't pull it off. He doesn't have that darkness to him. He can't pull it off with Marisa. He tries really hard, but because Marisa is not trusting of Marco and she does not like Marco, she pulls a knife on him. Hi-ya! So she pulls this knife on him. It might have been a letter opener. No, actually probably was a knife because Noah had brought that food up earlier. So she pulls a knife on him, and then Jack is scared. He's scared that she's going to cut him. She's going to slice him up. He tries to convince her that he is Jack. Now, he had an easier time convincing her she was Marco. Now he's having a difficult time trying to convince her he's Jack. So he had to say some things that only she would know. She finally realized he was Jack. Oh, brother, the things people go through, the lengths. Jack almost got cut up by Marisa. And now everything is fine. He just kind of explained to her that him and Phyllis was just trying to make sure that she wasn't loyal to Marco. She assured him that she's not. Phyllis and Victor are having their conversation. Phyllis is telling Victor that he would basically get his, and that he was kind of evil for what he did, and how dare him bring her back to life and to make her go through all that. And he says he didn't bring her back for her to go through what she went through. He said that Jack should have never told her the truth. But she says at some point when it's time, she would be able to tell Victor what she really feels, and be able to get back at him for everything that he has done, not only to Jack, but especially to her. So she's telling him that. Jack walks up and Phyllis leaves, and Victor again explains to Jack that he should have never told Phyllis the truth, which I agree with. Jack should have never told Phyllis the truth. However, because of their time in Istanbul and the things that Phyllis was saying, Jack was getting tired of hearing it, so he finally had to tell her the truth. So in a sense, I do see Jack's side of it. And he did promise her that she would not say anything. But it's getting very difficult for her, because you know how feisty Phyllis is. When she gets a chance to lay into somebody, she's going to. And when it comes to Victor Newman, she will do what she has to get back of him. So when the time comes when this whole fiasco, this mess, this crazy storyline is over. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens. Of course, Victor's not going to pay for anything because Victor is slicker than Grease. And Grease, yeah. Slicker than Grease. So Victor's not going to pay for anything. It's just going to, as you remember, oh, and Phyllis was asking him something. By the way, I went back downstairs and I heard all this conversation. Phyllis had asked him about bringing Marco, and Victor says that that's not what happened. But if I remember correctly, Victor did summon Marco, or went to Peru or something like that, got Marco out of this prison and came up with this deal. But I'm not understanding who Marco really is, because we know that Marco is talking, he knew where the Abbott's cabin were. So who would know where the Abbott's cabin is unless you are from Genoa City? You know the Abbotts. Like you're a part of the Abbott family, which you know where the cabin is. And so, and also he was talking to somebody on the phone and saying that that his plan failed, but he's going to try again. So he, as you know, he's trying to make a life in Genoa City, so we need to find out who he is. So that's going to be interesting when it comes out who he really is and what he's really doing in Genoa City. This may be the out for Victor. This actually might get Victor out of all this mess that he has caused. So we'll see how that turns out. Victor again tells Jack that he shouldn't have told Phyllis everything, and Jack said that he had to. And Victor feels that because Jack has said this to Phyllis, that Phyllis may be in danger, that Marco may have, that she may have eluded Marco this time, but there's a chance that Marco may come back. Billy and Victoria, they had a short, they kind of had their moment today. They were talking in Victor's office, and you know, Billy has his big grudge against Adam, and now he has this big grudge against Gabe, and Victoria's kind of noticing that, and that his hatred, his disdain for Gabe. And then, you know, there's a time that they decide, well, let's go home and spend some time with their son. They think the kid's name is Jack, and they are spending some time, and they're playing blocks with him and all this. And then Jack disappears. You know, people disappear from scenes. And the next thing you know, Billy and Victoria are hitting the hay, which is the couch. And Victoria asks Billy to stay the night. So it's looking like that Billy and Victoria will get back together. I'm not really feeling this Billy. I think Billy Wilder made a better Billy than this guy. I didn't even like the first guy that played Billy, Tom. I forget his first name, but his last name was Tom. You know his sister, she was the original Victoria Newman. She is Nicole Tom. And his last, David Tom, that's his name. I didn't care for him as Billy. I really like Billy Wilder as Billy, and I know they're trying to get him back. I really hope he comes back, because this Billy just does not fit the role of Billy. He just does not seem, he just doesn't fit in for me. But it seems like him and Victoria are getting back together. Noah is now really suspicious of Marisa. Phyllis got a few more jabs into Victor. And Adam is trying to convince Chelsea to stay in Paris. This traveling has really worn me out. I hope I don't have to do this much traveling for tomorrow's show, but you never know. Okay, to all my Y&R friends out there, love, peace, and chicken grease. I will see you mañana. Hasta.